China spent 60 years turning 92,000 hectares of barren wasteland into the largest man-made forest on Earth. And it worked. Let me show you how they pulled it off. Northern China had a problem, a big one. The land around a place called Saihamba had been stripped bare. Trees were cut down, the soil turned to dust, and the wind started carrying sand from the northern deserts straight toward Beijing. The capital was under siege from nature itself. So in 1962, China made a decision. They sent hundreds of foresters to Saihamba. Their mission? Plant a forest, not a small one. A massive green wall that could stop the sand and save the city. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about planting trees and walking away. This was a 60-year battle against one of the harshest environments on the planet. Let me explain what they were up against. Saihamba sits in Hebei province, right near Inner Mongolia. It's a transition zone. On one side, you've got dry northern deserts. On the other, densely populated cities like Beijing and Tianjin. And in the 1950s, that zone was dying. Excessive logging had destroyed the vegetation. The soil was exposed, winds were relentless, and every gust carried more sand south, without trees. There was nothing to hold the soil in place, nothing to block the wind, nothing to stop erosion. The desert was advancing, and Beijing was in its path. So the foresters arrived, and immediately, they faced brutal conditions. Intense cold, temperatures that could freeze you in minutes, strong winds that never stopped, and soil that had almost zero fertility. Try growing anything in that. Most seedlings didn't survive. The climate killed them. The soil rejected them. The wind tore them out. But the workers didn't quit. They planted more. They tried different species. They adapted. They protected the young trees. And slowly, very slowly, the forest started to grow. If this story is hitting different for you, do me a favor, subscribe and hit like, but only if you actually want more videos like this. It helps this reach people who care about real stories like this. Alright, let's keep going. So here's what makes this incredible. The forest coverage in Saihamba went from 11.4% to 80%. Let that sink in. They increased tree cover 7-fold, over 6 decades. That's not a short-term project, that's 3 generations of workers dedicating their lives to one goal. And it wasn't just about planting, it was about maintenance, constant care, replacing trees that died, protecting the ones that survived, monitoring soil conditions, managing water, fighting against nature every single day. Because here's the reality. In cold, dry areas, young trees struggle. When the soil has no organic matter and the wind never stops, survival rates are low. You can't just plant and hope. You have to nurture. You have to adjust. You have to stay committed for decades. And they did. By 2017. The transformation was undeniable. The United Nations Environment Programme took notice, and they gave Saihamba the Champions of the Earth Award. That's the UN's highest environmental honour. It's given to initiatives that create real, transformative change. The UN called it barren land brought back to life. And they weren't exaggerating. The forest now covers 92,000 hectares. That's bigger than Singapore, an entire forest where there used to be nothing but sand and wind. But why does this matter? Why should you care about trees in northern China? Because this forest is doing something critical. It's acting as a barrier, a physical wall against the sand. When wind hits the trees, it slows down, the sand drops, it doesn't reach Beijing. The forest also traps water. It holds moisture in the soil and it releases oxygen, lots of it. The UN reported that Saihamba provides 137 million cubic meters of clean water every year to Beijing and Tianjin. That's water that wouldn't be there without the trees. The forest also releases about 550,000 metric tons of oxygen annually. That's breathable air for millions of people. So this isn't just about pretty scenery. This forest is life support for one of the most populated regions on Earth. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The forest created economic opportunities, tourism, forest management, sustainable industries in 2016. Green economic activities linked to Saihamba generated $15.1 million. People started making a living from the forest. The land that was once worthless became valuable. But let me be clear, this didn't happen by accident. And it wasn't easy. The director of the Reforestation project, Liu Haiying, told the UN that workers treated the forest like their own children. That's the level of care we're talking about. 60 years of people waking up every day, going into freezing winds, and tending to trees that might not survive the winter. That's dedication. That's belief in something bigger than yourself. Now, China calls Saihanba the largest artificial forest in the world, and by the numbers, they're right. In 2025, the forest farm covered about 93,000 hectares with 82% forest coverage. That's verified, that's real, and it's not just a forest, it's a case study, a blueprint for how to reverse desertification, how to bring degraded land back to life, how to protect cities from environmental collapse. Because the problem Saihanba solved isn't unique to China. Deserts are expanding all over the world, soil is eroding, trees are disappearing, and cities are at risk. What China did in Saihanba shows it's possible to fight back, but it also shows how hard it is. You can't just plant trees and declare victory. You need the right species. You need to protect the seedlings. You need to manage the soil. You need to monitor water, and you need to keep doing it for decades. There's no shortcut. In arid and semi-arid regions, restoration faces natural limits, low water, poor soil, extreme temperatures, high winds. These aren't small obstacles, they're constant threats, and overcoming them requires persistence that most projects don't have. But Saihanba had it. 3 generations of workers had it, and the result is a forest that changed the landscape of northern China. Let me paint the picture for you. In the 1950s, Saihanba was a wasteland. Dust, sand, wind, nothing growing. By 2026, it's a thriving forest, green as far as you can see, trees swaying, birds nesting, water flowing, air cleaning. That transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened tree by tree, year by year, worker by worker. And the impact goes beyond Saihanba. The forest became a symbol, a proof of concept, a reminder that humans can heal the damage they've caused, if they're willing to put in the work. China has other reforestation programs, other desert containment projects. But Saihanba is special. It's the one with international recognition, the one with the long-term success story, the one that shows what's possible when you don't give up. And it's still going. The forest still needs management. The trees still need protection. The work isn't done, but the foundation is solid. The barrier is holding. Beijing is safer because of it. Here's what you need to understand. Saihanba isn't just about environmentalism. It's about survival. It's about protecting millions of people from sand, erosion, and water scarcity. It's about creating a livable future in a region that was becoming unlivable. And it worked. 60 years, 92,000 hectares, the largest man-made forest on Earth, a green wall against the desert, a source of water, oxygen, and life for one of the biggest cities in the world. That's the story of Saihanba. Not a miracle, not luck, just relentless. Decades-long effort by people who refuse to let the desert win. And now, when the wind blows from the north, it doesn't carry sand to Beijing. It carries the smell of pine trees, because where there was once nothing, there's now a forest. And it's not going anywhere.